Hello and welcome to another Mr. Peterbyte video, and this one is rather special. I am really pleased to have the chance to work on a PCM-F1. For those of you who don't know, I'm sure you already do know because that's why you watch these videos, the PCM-F1 was the digital audio processing unit that complemented the Sony SL-F1 and also the TT-F1, I suppose you could say. You know, it was all sort of the same size, same look, all part and parcel of the same package. And this enabled you to record digital quality audio onto Betamax tapes. And it is just audio, and it was incredibly good. And I know a lot of recording studios and music producers, musicians would use one of these for that very purpose. Really amazing, to be honest. And on my journey of sort of learning about the PCM-F1 and the other Sony PCM units, I've had stories of, you know, Betamax and VHS tapes being couriered across London, and, you know, tapes being sent, master recordings, to be then put onto sort of media, consumer media, like tapes and whatever, CDs, vinyl, or via a PCM tape, which is quite amazing, really. In this day and age, it seems just so foreign almost, doesn't it? But yeah, so this one's quite interesting insofar as it does work, but apparently the previous owner, this isn't mine, this is a repair, incidentally, but the previous owner of the current owner was a BBC engineer, and for whatever reason, he disabled the mains power input. So you have to use a battery, and I do actually have somewhere a battery. This battery is fully charged. It does work, I'm told. So I'm actually quite looking forward to trying this and seeing how good the life is. I do also have another SL-F1 UB to repair. I'm really excited, to be honest. It's absolutely wonderful to have the chance to work on one of these. These go for big money on eBay, and I have not got the passion to actually own one of these. But I do have the passion to work on one of these, and I've so wanted to work on one and to see what they're like inside and be amazed. So yeah, that's great. Now what's helpful as well is the guy that's sent this for repair also has sent me all the manuals. So we've got supplement, we've got the actual service manual. Then we've got the AC 700 power supply, which is different to the AC F1 power supply, and we've got the troubleshooting guide as well. And I'm guessing Sony produced this because they were fairly rare in the service department to come across, so that's actually quite helpful as well. Yeah, I'll probably duplicate those. I'll ask the owner if I can just take a copy just for my records, because it's just fascinating, really great. The main reason I'm not too upset that I haven't actually got a PCM-F1 is that I do actually have a Sony PCM processor, and I've had this a while. I've still not used it, which is the other reason I haven't bothered. But yeah, what I'm hoping to do is make a tape up on the PCM-F1 and then use this to play it back and just see what it's like, really. Just experience what it's like to record and then listen back to good quality audio using this kit. So, okay, so I've not opened this, so we're sharing in the joys of this. Let's see what we get in the box. Not the best way to do it, but still, that's cool. So, oh, that's so lovely. Oh my goodness. And then, let's get the power supply out. There's the power supply. Interesting, it's got a foot on the top of it. I wonder what that's for. I think that's random. Oh, it's come off somewhere. Okay. So, yeah, that's great. But wow. I just think, I mean, this really does screams Sony quality. It's just so beautifully made. It's quite heavy, it's very solid, metal as you'd expect, battery, and half-inch headphone jack. So I'm just marvelling at this. It's really lovely. So let's just pop in this battery first of all. So obviously a copy battery. So I don't know whether you can see that, but I have no idea how this works, so I'm just really playing. Battery check. I do wonder how good that battery is, because I wouldn't have thought. I mean, I'm doing battery check. Okay. Maybe there is more wrong with it than I thought, or that I'm aware of. Now, well, this will be fun. Okay, so let's take it apart. He says, looking for the screws. There's that Sony smell. Okay, so case disassembly. First, remove 5 screws from the bottom plate and remove it. So we've done that. Remove 2 screws from the upper case. Oh yeah, okay. So saying to remove these. This is looking very tightly packed, I have to say. But it is the 80s and this is digital technology. It's damaged. Oh, it's actually a perfect fit. I thought they might be slightly different, but they're not. Sony is a bit more involved than the other 2 units. I mean, you can see this is prosumer. It's not your normal kit, really. And then move 4 screws and the rear panel. Take off. Now there's a copper one in there, which I don't think's right. What does it say? Black. So this has been put together sort of not really correctly. If I'm going to be really picky. Okay, there's a bit of a water gasket there. In theory, I believe this should then slide off. Oh, lift off, okay. Slide back and lift off. It really does smell of old electronics. It's amazing. So, there we go. There it is in all its glory. Very nice too. So, I suppose the next thing I'm going to do is actually take the power supply apart. And I know that sort of detracts from what this video is about, but I just want to check if there's anything that needs to be fixed, i.e. replaced, because it's leaking. It's obviously had some feet put on the bottom there to help with ventilation, which is not a bad idea. Yeah, so it's got a transformer. Incredibly dusty. That'll have a jolly good clean. Looks like very good quality caps. Huge capacitor there. Audio. For audio. Elna. That is an 18,000 microfarad capacitor. 35 volts. Wow. That is so cool. I mean, this is just fantastic electronics. I don't know what's gone on there. Yeah, so it all looks pretty good. It just needs a jolly good clean. So, yeah, get and do that. I do love this RS provided mains plug. That is fantastic. I used to really love these. I remember having some of these back in the late 80s. And yeah, really cool. Okay, so a few assembly, disassembly bits and pieces I've picked up on so far. The battery compartment. Basically undo that screw, and ideally you need to remove or pull out the voltage regulator pack, which you can do by undoing that screw and just pulling this back ever so slightly just to sort of bring this out. This isn't screwed in at all. It's just literally just floating there. I say floating there, it's sort of captive in there. Underneath there's a sticky plastic pad. Pull that off and then slide this back once that screws out and lift it up, and it's out. So I don't really see many reasons why you need to do that, but it could be quite handy if you get one with bad contacts. You want to take it out and maybe do something with the contacts or clean it up or whatever. The boards, both top and bottom, they locate underneath these coppered assemblies, and they use copper screws or copper covered screws. Probably quite important because that is actually an earth through. Like so. bottom board's the same. Taking this apart, you might have noticed this was on here. It's literally 4 screws and then a little bit of a jiggle about. Obviously, you've got earthing straps there, and it does come off with a little bit of a wiggle. This actually goes down behind here, so yeah, it's slightly captive, but it's fine. It's not too bad. So I've already had this board open. This has screw here, screw here, screw here, screw there, screw there. Don't think there is one there, but no doubt we'll find out as we go along. Okay, so take this out. So again, under these, and you should be able to pull this back fairly well. So that's actually not too bad. You can remove this board and just pull it out. That's really cool. So you can just pull this unit out like so. So ignore everything I said before. You don't have to remove that screw, unless you don't want to remove this board, of course, but that's fine. Like so. Magic. So, next thing I suppose is to diagnose what's going on with this board. So I've made a few checks and tests of the unit with regards to the power supply issue, and I have to say I did those off camera, mainly because it's been a really hectic week, and I've just been doing like a few minutes here and there when I get, you know, a small window of time. I've been doing some work, and I've got as far as, well, first of all, let's just show you this. So the manual, service manual with the power board, but I've also got the troubleshooting guide. The owner actually sent all of this paperwork with it, which is great. So I've gone through this and everything checks fine, except this here. So it becomes 2.5 volts when power switch is pressed. It doesn't do that. From memory, I think it's about 13.8, 14 volts. That's sort of always there. So yeah, it's not. So I'm always getting 14 volts. That doesn't go down. So obviously there's a problem there. Now, main reason I'm sort of starting on this side of the machine, because the board we want's actually on the other side, is just to show you the electronics. Very high quality electronics. I mean, really, really good quality. This side isn't quite so exciting, as you like, vintage digital electronics, which this certainly is. I even like the way they've put plastic on the top of the caps, just to save you from possibly shorting against things. But these relays are quite interesting as well. These are two-way latching relays, so rather than being energized all the time for one state and not for the other state, each coil can be momentarily energized to flick the switch. So that one energized flicks it one way, that one energized flicks it the other way, and that means that you're actually saving quite a considerable amount of power, to be fair, relative to the rest of the deck, from the battery, because this can be battery powered with the MP1 or MP25 batteries. You can still get MP1 batteries as such. There's a company I found today that actually does NiCad batteries and mentions Betacam and Betamax machines. They also do Li-ion batteries, but the voltage out of that is higher and potentially not suitable for this sort of kit, so you do have to go for the NiCad ones. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you that, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to loosely put this back together. So 2 screws, one there, holds this. Just got to be careful of that post when you remove it. It's a bit of a fiddle, little bit of a fiddle. It's not bad at all, really. Of course, we've got lovely copper screws as well, which is really cool. But yeah, we'll put this back together on this side, turn it over, and we'll run through these checks again. Well, more specifically this here, because like I say, the rest of it's fine. So let's crack on. So the bottom of the PCM-F1 is all back together, relay board back in and everything else. Even put the screening can on. There's confidence for you. Probably have to take that off yet again. Yeah, just before we start checking voltages and what's going on with the power side of it, it's worth just taking in how well this is thought out and how well it's built. I mean, the quality of the components. So all audio quality components, Elna. To the left, so here, this is the -15 +15 volt rails. On here, I believe this is analog, I think. Yes, it is. Analog board. And I mean, components like these capacitors, they're just so beautiful. It's really lovely. High quality copper, solid copper heat sinks on chips. These are relatively standard transistors, I believe, under here, but they're in epoxy encapsulation, and then with heat sinks on. And yeah, I'm just so impressed by the quality of the components and the way it's built. It really does scream like prosumer type kit. And yeah, probably before that was even a term. So really very, very impressive. So we need to have a look at this. Now, I got as far as checking this. When power switch is turned on, about for 150 milliseconds, positive pulse is outputs. Now this is on this transistor here, which is Q602, which is this transistor here. And indeed, it does have a pulse, a brief pulse on here. But this side of the transistor is actually floating at 14 volts when the power is applied. So that sort of doesn't seem right. I am assuming it should just literally flick the 14 volts. I don't know. I've not actually studied the circuit diagram that well. So yeah, it's a bit of an interesting one. The problem we had going through all of this flow diagram, everything else checks fine, but like I say, this is the issue. So we need to be checking here, which is on the end of that resistor there. Now this is shown from the print side And of course, I'm from the top side, so it does make it a little bit more sort of interesting to work out. So, resistor by the plug, capacitor there. So that is that resistor there. So, and I need to be measuring that nearest the connector. So basically it's that end there, nearest the connector. So I should be seeing 2.5 volts when power switch is pressed. So let's try that. So AC 700 is primed, ready to go. So we'll stick the probe on the end of the resistor. Oh, we've got nothing on. Turn it on at the back. There we go. So we've got 13 volts there all the time. Becomes 2.5 when power switch is pressed. So that suggests, it says becomes 2.5 volts. What should it be before? I'm guessing pretty much 0. So yeah, so we've got 13.5 on there, so that's obviously incorrect. I think what I need to do is actually work through the power supply. Circuit diagram. So there's that resistor there. There is 13.5 volts there on the one side, and it shouldn't be on the other. So what this suggests is S609 D603 is a diode, IC601 could be bad, R621 could be bad, R620, and capacitor 606. Okay, so capacitor 606. Well, capacitor 606. So D603. Oh, 602. D603. 603. So D603 is around the IC601. So check it in situ, which doesn't necessarily tell me anything, but we'll see. So D603 is fine. R621. Okay, so let's check resistor R621. And that is 10K. It's brown, black, orange. So that's fine. Okay, so D603 is fine. R621, 47K. So strange divisions on this meter. It's fine. What a surprise. S609. That, the switch is here. This is the switch. So let's try it. I mean, this could be. I mean, it's old enough, isn't it? That's working well. Right, so it's saying that this chip's bad. How fun is that? The Toshiba TC4093BP. Now, I don't believe that. But it probably is true, isn't it? The switchboard on this. Basically, there's the switchboard, and that connects all the way here to CNJ609. Well, that should be fairly easy to source, I would have thought. But is it really that? I just don't know. Good. If I don't turn it on. So pin 14. 13.5, which you'd expect. 13.5 on 13. Which that is. 13.5 on 12, which is straight on to B+. Pin 11 should be 0 volts. 14, 13, 12, 11, which it is. 10 is also 13.5 ish. Nine, 0 volts. Oh, there's not 0 volts on that. That's interesting. And then pin 8, 13. What was pin 9 again? Volts. So pin 9 is a gate, right? So that is high. So pin 9 is high when it shouldn't be. Suggesting possibly a short in the chip. Okay, so this is a temporary fix. I've put a big blob of solder on there. It will remind me to change it because I've cut that lead. So let's check the voltages again. Oops. Oh, that's right. So that's across the button contact. So that's working. It's this chip. Because this chip controls the logic of the power switch and everything else that's going on. So what it's expecting to see. I just find that so difficult to accept. But that's now right. So where does that go? That goes down through that to pin 10. So that's that pin there. I'm getting parallax errors. Yes, that's dropping. Oh well, I think I have to go with what Sony is saying and assume this chip is bad. Oh, hang on. try that again. Right. So, I don't know what happened there, but I wasn't getting any power. So, there's still 12 volts on there, which there shouldn't be. So is that shorting? Yeah. So the power switch on the front basically grounds that 13 volts there when you press it. Pin 10, which is here. Doesn't go low. So I see why they're saying it's the diode or the resistor, because that's basically the difference between, or the components between, one side of this switch and this chip. So there's always 13 volts in there, so it's short, it's bad, or something's not right with it. So, time to find a TC4093 BP. Wish me luck. So the chip's ordered. So in the meantime, while we wait for that, let's have a look at this F1. So looking at the video output, and that's probably not the best image to actually be viewing this on, but I think my feeling with this is the heads have had it. Okay, so cover off. My goodness, this deck has seen some life. That upper drum is so shiny. It is. So really... let's change some heads. So yeah, actually a really good picture. So the chip has arrived. Got an original from Little Diode again. They seem very good. So notice anti-static. What it's worth. I mean, it's not plugged into anything, so it's not like I'm grounding myself. So there we go, Toshiba. And yeah, I suppose we ought to try and change it. Now to get this board out. Now, this appears to be really easy, but might not be. So there's a screw there. The reason I say it might not be easy is ideally I'd like to remove this board, but quite a few of these cables are actually soldered to the board. So I'm guessing it's the screening is soldered, which sort of makes sense, but yeah, it makes it a little bit more awkward. So I'm hoping to get this out somewhere to a fashion that I can actually change the chip. So that's all there is to unscrew. Do I have to do anything else? Oh, well, that's actually not terribly bad. So, put one of these earths. It's getting in the way. Lovely. So, and it's that chip we need to remove. The solder seems pretty flexible, to be honest. I think it's going to perform if it's got just a little bit of assistance from some flux. Oh, we'll see. In for a penny, in for a pound, isn't it? I'm using desoldering braid anyway, so that together with the so there we have it, removed, and that was actually very painless. It's something I never used to do, and didn't do till recently, but I now use this liquid flux. Instead of soldering, I do still forget. The way I always used to do it is just add a dab of fresh solder and then use solder braid, and that would give a nice clean finish. But just brushing a bit of this stuff, and it is very runny, it's not paste, really does seem to do the trick very, very well on this old kit. And, well, all kit really. Just going to plug this in. Yeah, that's fucking good. Excellent. Okay, so let's put this back. Got my finest soldering, but it's not bad. Just try not to get too much heat into the chip. So we're almost to the point where we can test it and see if that's indeed fixed it. And the screwdrivers are out. So everything's good, nothing's pulled off. Pretty happy with that. Right, so moment of truth. Oh, let's come on. But that's working. That's working exactly the same as if the battery was in. So I assume that's good to go. Oh, nice. Okay, well, I suppose really I ought to now put this together and we'll have a play. So this type of screw with a slight flange on the edge of it goes on the bottom, I believe. May well prove myself to be completely wrong. This was not put together previously correctly, so I am making this up a little bit as I go along. Just making assumptions, knowing how Sony do things. Ah, got it. They don't go there. That one goes there. So the screws with the flanges, they go on the front. You're probably all shouting at me for getting that wrong. It's like, what are you doing? Putting the screws in the wrong place. Super. So that's good. So, next thing, let's give it a test. So we're all good to go insofar as we have power from the mains power supply rather than just from a battery. But the slight issue I have is I've plugged my mini disc player in. I just thought, well, if I just plug in a source into the line input, I should get something else. But I don't. Now, I think it's just me not understanding how this unit works. I'm sure it is, and you'll probably comment, tell me. But yeah, if I press record mute, I've got sound. So I know it works. I know it's passing audio through. I do need to clean this control for the headphones. It's a little bit noisy, but it's not bad, to be fair, especially given its age. And I don't think it's even used, to be fair. These are perfect. And honestly, I mean, look at that. Just really good quality. So, yeah, just really very impressed with that. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'll record a video sort of testing this out. I'll probably do it as a Betabyte tidbits, and yeah, so that'll be to follow. But we accomplished what we set out to do. The F1 is also working. I just need to clean out all of that muck, tape debris. It's absolutely amazing how bad that was. And yeah, so thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. Really does mean a lot. And thank you to everyone who's subscribed. And I will see you in another video. Bye for now.